The story of Winnie Ruth Judd is one of the most sensational true crime sagas in Arizona history. Judd was accused of murdering two friends, then stuffing their bodies in trunks and other luggage that wound up transported to California. Judd was found guilty and sentenced to death, but that sentence was repealed when she was found mentally incompetent. End of story? Hardly. Author Lori Notaro is out with a new novel about the case. It's titled The Murderess, and while others have written about Ruth Judd, in this novel, we hear from Ruth Judd. And we welcome Lori Notaro back to Arizona Horizon. That's a little bit of a tease there, the fact that we're hearing from Ruth, because in this novel, first of all, I will get there in a second. Of all the things to write about, why Winnie Ruth Judd?
Well, I mean, you remember in days gone by, I was actually a reporter. I wasn't always a humor columnist. And so we, as fellow journalists, you always want to know the story behind the story. And so I had grown up with the story, other books had been written, and I always figured, I think there's more to this. I really kind of want to get into her head because she's such a pretty woman and so well-versed. What makes someone like that who looks like me and you kill her two best friends?
Yeah, and well, yes, and we have other things going on there as well. Was there a moment where was it a light bulb going out, an aha moment? I know your friend Robert Paliff, a mutual friend.
Yeah.
He's very much involved in this story. Did something happen that said, okay, we're on this thing?
It was. When I went to the archives first in 2014, I went under the assumption that it really was self-defense. I really did want to believe that. But I still wanted to figure out why and how things spun so madly out of control. And Ted, I was only there 15 minutes when I saw the autopsy report, and I saw that the victims had stippling on their gun wounds, and that does not happen. That's a direct shot. I've talked to Phoenix police. That's a direct shot. That doesn't happen during a struggle.
Yeah.
That happens when you have the muzzle of a gun right up against someone's temple.
And we have a confession letter, a controversial confession letter in some quarters, but a confession letter.
Yeah, and that arose in 2014. It had been in the Tucson, Arizona Historical Society, the Tucson Archives, and had just been buried with Richard Sims, who was Ruth's the insanity lawyer, for I don't know how many decades. They had been there, and so finally they were just scanning that, and then Robert Pala had been down there just go see if there's anything new in the Ruth Judd file. And lo and behold, here is this confession letter.
Now, this confession letter was it used or not used?
No.
Because, I mean, they had to bury the thing, which kind of leads to its authenticity, does it not? Absolutely,
because when you read that letter, there are some things where it actually does contradict the truth. She relinquishes all responsibility from Halloran, who was her boyfriend, in any aspect of the crime. But I think she did that holding out hope that he would still save her. But the train of thought, you can see exactly what happens in that letter is what is the only thing that fits the evidence.
Yeah. The research on this, and the book it's just a great read, and you can tell you did a lot of research on this. Did you find yourself kind of getting buried in this?
There was a lot. I did my own research, and then I was helped. Robert Pala, also my colleague who found the confession letter, is also very close friends with Sonny Worrell, who was one of the victim's great nieces. And Sonny had dedicated her entire adult life. She was a National Institute of Health librarian, research librarian, so she knew her stuff.
Yes.
She spent 30 years documenting everything she could get about this case. And unfortunately, I never got to meet her. She died in 2014 of pancreatic cancer, and then Sonny's mother gave Robert the archive, and Robert gave it to me.
Yeah, and off you go. But off you go on a true crime novel. Why that approach?
Yeah, I wanted to approach it much like In Cold Blood, where we're telling a narrative, because I really wanted to get into Ruth's head. I really wanted to see what she was thinking, what she was feeling, and that was really the only way that I can do it. You know, like nonfiction books have been done already. I didn't want to redo that.
Right.
I wanted to tell the narrative of what happened to this woman and what made her become a murderess.
But in doing that, you had to, in lots of ways, shapes, and forms here, become Winnie Ruth. We hear from Winnie Ruth Judd, which means we're hearing from you and Winnie Ruth. Was there like a Twilight Zone thing where she was becoming you?
It was terrible. I will tell you that I outlined the book, I did the research, I put off writing it as long as I possibly could because I knew that it wasn't going to be a fun time. And I wrote a majority of that book in 40 days. I just had to get there and get out. And it was terrible. It was not a good place to be. It was anxious, it was dark, it was really awful. I had nightmares every night. And I couldn't wait to get done with it. And usually when I finish a book, I'm really sad. But with this one, I could not wait to get it away from me. And I sent it to my editor and I said, I don't want to see this for 90 days.
But to your credit, I mean, this is not, raving lunatic can be described in different ways. But this is a woman who had a job, she had a husband, had great concerns, and I won't give it away, but great concerns about being a mom and have children and these sorts of things. I mean, it's not like she woke up every day and said, who can I kill and stuff into a luggage?
No, not at all. She was, I believe, a victim of mental health in a time in the 30s where we didn't even really have a word for depression, let alone something like bipolar or know how to treat it. So she was pretty much on her own dealing with these things, and stress certainly acerbated those episodes in her life. And she would spin out of control, and there were also drugs involved, there was alcohol involved, she couldn't sleep, so she was taking a lot of Luminol, and just the wheels fell off the cart and her two best friends died.
Yeah, and one more thing about the process, because I find it fascinating, because I'm reading this, I know you, so I know it's you, but it's not you. I'm reading this, and this, I mean, that had to be difficult. I mean, you had to, I mean, for 40 days, you kind of had to walk around in her shoes.
It was like putting on her dress or her skin, kind of like, not to be gross, but it was, I really had to start thinking in order to understand and to feel what she felt, like having that live wire stuck in the middle of you and always being anxious. And of course, I'm trying to meet a deadline, so I'm anxious, number one. But just going through what she felt was not a pleasant experience. Well, it was terrible.
Going through what being as close to her as you are in this novel, what do you think of her?
I feel terrible for her. I sympathize with her, but at the same time, I don't forgive her.
Right.
She killed two really vibrant people who had their whole lives in front of her. And it was because she couldn't get the help that she needed, you know? So she did take matters into her own hands, and she did it. She was not in the right state of mind. She wasn't as sane as you and I are right now, hopefully. But she didn't even think about the second victim. She just went in for the first victim. It was not even in her frame of mind that she would have to kill a witness. That's how out of the box this whole thing was. It was just crazy.
On October 20th, you're hosting a panel with some other local historians, I believe, at the Crescent Ballroom.
Yes.
And that brings to mind something else. What is it about this case that keeps, it's almost 100 years old now, keeps us fascinated?
It's almost, and some of the historians are going to talk about that. Why does this case have its teeth into Phoenix and just will not let go? You remember the play last year, The Truth About Winnie Ruth Judd, sold out, crazy. The playwright and the director are going to be on this panel. And I think it's because we will never really know the truth. I think I got to as close as I can with the materials that I had, but who knows what's going to surface in the next 20 years. Is there a diary in Jack Halloran's house someplace? Who knows what's going to come up out of the ground? You just don't know.
And Jack Halloran, again, was kind of the boyfriend, but we have no idea how much he was involved with. Congratulations. I got, what's next, like Bob Crane Confidential? What's next for you? I mean, goodness gracious.
I'm going back to humor next time. I'm going back to humor next time. Yes. It's another humor book about more adventures in middle age. But I've been trying to write this book for 10 years, and it's finally out, and I'm done, and I'm delighted.
Well, congratulations. It really is a great read, and continued success. We're all proud of you.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.